We're kicking off today with WWE King and Queen of the Ring, as the promotion has a new king, and his name is Gunther. The Austrian powerhouse defeated Randy Orton in the finals of the tournament to claim the crown, but his win did not come without a ton of controversy at the end. After a highly physical match between the two, Gunther got the pinfall victory over the Viper, but as countless fans pointed out on social media, Orton's shoulder was up during the count. In a backstage video, Triple H addressed the controversy and made clear that Gunther's win is final and that he will not be stripped of the crown. With that said, Triple H made clear he is hoping to see Orton get another match with Gunther and believes the new king will want to prove he can get a clean win. That match, if it happens, won't be for the King of the Ring crown, and despite the controversy, it is Gunther who now has a world title match at SummerSlam 2024. But what did you make of this? Did this controversial end spoil the tournament finals for you? And was Gunther the right man to win? Let us know down in the comments. WWE's most recent trip to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia didn't just see a new king, but also a new queen, as Nia Jax won the Queen of the Ring tournament. The SmackDown superstar defeated Lyra Valkyria in the finals of the tournament after previously beating the trio of Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair. Now Jax has a guaranteed title match with the WWE Women's Champion at SummerSlam, and that title is currently held by Bayley. Reacting to Jax's victory, Bayley tweeted that she would see Jax around before calling the new Queen of the Ring an idiot. Jax and Bayley have a history that goes all the way back to their NXT days, and was Jax the right woman to crown queen, or should somebody else have won the tournament instead? In the opening match of the main show, Women's World Champion Becky Lynch defended her gold against Liv Morgan, but it was Dominik Mysterio who made all the difference. During the pre-show, Dominik confronted Morgan and said he'd make sure she didn't win, as payback for Liv injuring Rhea Ripley, which ended Ripley's women's world title run. Amid an even-handed match between champion and challenger, Mysterio appeared and introduced a steel chair, but his distraction would allow Liv to take advantage. Morgan planted Lynch on the chair while the ref was dealing with Dirty Dom, and after disposing of the evidence, it was Morgan who won the match and the title. Dominik looked incredibly frustrated at what had happened, but if you've been following WWE as of late, then you may suspect that this is a ruse by the ex-con. Not only were the pair recently spotted leaving the same room, but Morgan was recently photographed and appeared to have Dominik's purple bandana in her pocket. Interestingly, after the show, Morgan made sure to tag Ripley in a post, clearly rubbing her title win in the face of the Australian, and this post was liked by Dirty Dom himself. Did Dominik accidentally cause Morgan to win the women's world title, or is there more at play here than it first seems? Sound off down in the comments. In the main event of the show, Cody Rhodes retained the undisputed WWE Championship against Logan Paul, but it was the Maverick who again proved he belongs in the ring. At one point, Paul seemed to have had the match won after using brass knuckles he had previously swore he wouldn't use, but Ibrahim Al-Hajjaj stopped things going further. The Saudi actor/comedian's interference gave Rhodes time to recover and hit 3 crossroads for the win, but Paul may have lost more than the match. During the match, Paul could be heard shouting that Rhodes was going to break his leg when Cody had the figure 4 locked in, but the Maverick didn't tap to the move. After the match, however, Paul could be seen limping to the back, leading some to fear that the figure 4 may have done more damage than first thought. At this time, WWE hasn't given a medical update on Paul, but we are hoping that the US champion isn't seriously hurt after his match in Saudi Arabia. With the Intercontinental title on the line, Sami Zayn defended against Big Bronson Reed and Chad Gable, and Sami received a hero's welcome in the Jeddah Superdome. It's arguable that Zayn received just as big a reaction as Cody Rhodes, if not even bigger, in spite of Zayn being banned for years from going to their Saudi events. Chad Gable sent Maxine Dupree to the back during his entrance, but Otis was allowed to remain, and Gable used his Alpha Academy ally to attack Bronson Reed. When Chad demanded the same happen to Sami though, Otis was conflicted, and when he eventually went for the attack, Zayn ducked, and Otis clocked his coach instead. From there, Sami was able to get the win in an excellent triple threat match that helped build the story of Alpha Academy coming apart at the seams. With that said, the in-ring action can't be denied, as a double ankle lock spot and an impressive double suplex by Gable were highlights of the bout. With the dust settled, Sami is still the champion, and it remains to be seen what all this means for the Alpha Academy moving forward. Now, King and Queen of the Ring was quite the event, and has proven to be a hit with fans for the most part, but the show was not free of some unfortunate botches. We already mentioned that Randy Orton's shoulder was off the match when he lost the King of the Ring finals, but this wasn't the only mistake made at the show. During the Women's World title match, Liv Morgan delivered a DDT onto Becky Lynch on a steel chair, but when she tried to throw it out of the ring, it hit the rope instead. That led to the chair bouncing back, and the second time Liv tried, it also failed to make it out of the ring, and only after 3 attempts did she dispose of the weapon. This made the final moments of the match seem clunky and also did the referee no favors, as they had to be distracted for much longer than they should have been. There was some unfortunate errors during the pre-show as well, as in the women's tag title match, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defended against Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. During the match, Michael Cole spoke of the teamwork of the champions, but instead of Cargill's name, said that Belair had been teaming with Cora Jade. The NXT superstar is currently out injured, and clearly, Cole got his Jades mixed up, an odd mistake for the veteran who hasn't called any matches of Cora Jade yet. This match also saw Bianca Belair go for a pinfall on LeRae, but when she did, she could be seen knocking her own partner down as she went for the kip-up. This was an unfortunate mistake, and Cargill had to pull herself up with the help of the ring ropes behind the referee, who was counting the pin. And that was WWE King and Queen of the Ring, and what did you make of the show? Sound off in the comments below. Over to AEW now, as last night was the promotion's Double or Nothing event, and in a surprising move, the show marked the return of MJF. In the AEW International title match, Will Ospreay captured the gold from Roderick Strong, which understandably drew the ire of the Devil, Adam Cole. Cole spoke of his recovery and hinted at bringing back his Devil Mask persona, but as he was gearing up for an Adam Cole baby chant, the arena plunged into darkness. A video on the Titantron featured artifacts evoking memories of MJF, and after this video, the former AEW World Champion made his long-awaited return. Clad in a Triple H-inspired leather and denim jacket, MJF teased reconciling with Cole, but swiftly delivered a low blow to his former ally and launched an attack. As Cole was assisted from ringside, MJF cut a scathing promo about his frustrations against everyone in AEW and the professional wrestling world at large. He then singled out Cole's devil mask, berating it as a symbol of his misery before hurling it into the crowd, and said he was now ready to bet on himself again. In a huge moment, MJF confirmed he's staying with AEW and isn't leaving, putting to bed any rumors that he was considering a move to WWE. Now MJF is back and here to stay, and what did you make of his return at Double or Nothing? Let us know down in the comments section below. MJF's return was certainly a surprise, as it had been reported not too long ago that he wasn't close to a comeback, so how exactly did his return to AEW TV come about? Fightful Select reports that plans for MJF's return have been in the works for quite some time, with AEW Double or Nothing earmarked as the target date for a while. Contrary to some rumors, MJF did not undergo shoulder surgery, and while he did suffer a real injury in the lead-up to World's End, he didn't have to go under the knife. Fans were sure that MJF had the surgery, given that he had been spotted in an arm brace, but Fightful notes that this was all part of a ruse to keep his return a surprise. As for Adam Cole, AEW's initial plan was for MJF and Cole to feud last year, with Cole's heel turn set to happen before World's End, but Cole's injury derailed those plans. There's no word on Cole's current condition, but the fact that both he and MJF got physical at Double or Nothing should be taken as a very good sign about their health. It's reported that AEW does have major creative plans for MJF now that he's back, and that will almost certainly include a high-profile match with Cole at the right time. As for what's in the immediate future for MJF though, fans will have to wait until Dynamite, where we're sure he'll have plenty to say after his return last night. In the AEW TNT Championship match, Adam Copeland defended against Malakai Black in a barbed wire steel cage, so it shouldn't be a surprise things got violent. Copeland came up through the stage to a Slayer song surrounded by a ring of fire just like he used to during his Brood days, exciting the fans and giving a tease of what was to come. Both men were bleeding within minutes, but Black's wound looked worse, and they eventually used a barbed wire bat to inflict even more damage upon each other. After tying Black to a table with the barbed wire, Copeland climbed to the top of the cage and dove off and planted Black through the table, but also landed on his feet. This was a painful-looking spot for both men and may serve as a reminder to Copeland that there are still some limits to what his body can do in the ring. The closing moments of the match saw Brody King and Buddy Matthews arrive and stand side by side with Copeland, teasing that they had found a new leader. That was until they attacked Copeland and reasserted their stance with Malakai, and the three men beat on him before the lights turned red and eerie music played. Gangrel came up through the ring and attacked the House of Black, which gave Copeland the opening to use the barbed wire to apply a crossface. Black passed out and the ref declared the Rated R Superstar as the winner, ending what was, at least until that part of the show, the most violent part of the night. In the first of our three main events billed for the show, Mercedes Moné made her long-awaited AEW in-ring debut when she took on TBS champion Willow Nightingale. The crowd were relatively split as both women have large fan bases, and while Willow dominated early on, she found herself on the defensive once Moné targeted her leg. This match was hard-hitting and made both women look incredibly tough, an impressive feat given that it came after the gruesome barbed wire steel cage affair. Willow had the match won with a doctor bomb, but Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway accidentally distracted the ref, which allowed the CEO to hit her finisher for the win. Stokely yelled at Willow for losing, but Stat shoved him to the mat. Then, Statlander attacked Willow as Hathaway looked on with a smile. This was a solid match in which the right woman won, but the real test now will be how Moné fares with women in AEW she may not have a history with. The second main event of the show saw the World Championship on the line as Swerve Strickland defended against Christian Cage, who had the might of the patriarchy with him. Strickland had an entrance inspired by the movie The Warriors, which was a nice touch, and while the two were slow to make contact, the action picked up the pace once they did. Swerve was his usual impressive self, but this match was a reminder that at 50 years old, Cage is still capable of putting on fantastic performances. Nick Wayne was able to interfere in the match and not get caught, but when Prince Nana tried to stop him, the referee spotted this and Nana got ejected from ringside. With the numbers game not in his favor, Strickland would be attacked by Wayne and Killswitch before the ref wisened up and sent the entire patriarchy to the back. Even when it seemed like Swerve would finally get a fair fight, Nick Wayne returned and hit a cutter behind the ref's back, but Nana chased him through the crowd with a pipe. After several false finishes, Strickland hit the Swerve Stomped, followed by the house call for the win in a match that went longer than needed, but everything was executed well. Now Strickland's attention will turn towards Forbidden Door, as a casino battle royal on this week's Dynamite will determine his opponent for the upcoming crossover event. After the match, Strickland celebrated with the crowd, and one name fans will recognize who was spotted in the seats was boxing legend Floyd Money Mayweather. While speaking during the post-AEW Double or Nothing media scrum, Swerve was asked about this and said Floyd is a good friend of Strickland's ally, Flash Garments. Strickland added that they had been trying to get Mayweather and his family to Vegas for the past 2 years and finally managed to get him for this year's show. Mayweather is best known for boxing but isn't a stranger to pro wrestling and was victorious against Paul White at WrestleMania 24 in 2008. Will we see Mayweather compete in an AEW ring? Only time will tell, but his arrival at AEW was a long time coming for the reigning AEW World Champion. In the final main event of Double or Nothing, the Elite were part of the Anarchy in the Arena match, which, as expected, proved to be an incredibly violent match. The quartet took on FTR, Darby Allin, and Bryan Danielson, and from the get-go, the crowd were on their feet, thanks in part to the final countdown being used. This led to a fun spot with the Bucks demanding the music to be cut off as it's expensive for AEW to use, but then the 8 wrestlers got down to business. This match went all over the MGM Grand Arena with Jack Perry trying to run down Darby Allin at one point to the parking lot area. As Perry was coming back, he grabbed Tony Khan and tried to drag him to the ring, but Allin resurfaced and lit the former FTW champion on fire. The Elite dispatched of Allin by tying him with cables to the rafters, and Dax Harwood was neutralized by being hit with an exploding chair. With Cash Wheeler also taken out, this left Bryan Danielson on his own, and a symphony of finishers by the Elite would result in Perry getting the running knee and pin on Bryan. This was a match where your level of enjoyment will depend on how much you like chaos and non-traditional violence in wrestling, but there's no denying it was a spectacle. As for where things go from here, that will have to be seen, but this was a huge victory for the Elite and perhaps a career-defining performance for Jack Perry. Do you think the Elite should have won this match, or should it have been a Team AEW? Give your thoughts in the comments section below. And we're ending with even more from AEW Double or Nothing 2024, as the excitement around the show didn't stop once Anarchy in the Arena was complete. After the show went off the air, Bryan Danielson remained in the ring as the crowd gave him a standing ovation, clearly appreciating what the fans had to say. The former world champion soaked in the moment before removing the AEW shirt he was wearing and accepted the ovation from the fans. Danielson is in his final years a full-time performer, and he revealed recently that his current AEW contract will expire before All In inside Wembley Stadium this August. Tony Khan has said he hopes to keep Danielson with AEW forever, but that will ultimately be a decision only Bryan can make. And what do you think he should do next in his career?